Okay. All right. So, yeah, I know. It's Thursday, and by the time this video hits YouTube, scanlations will already be up, and most One Piece YouTubers will already be talking about the next chapter. But I have promised myself that I would do this once a week, and I did make a little post on the channel on Monday saying what happened. I hurt my back. This has happened once before. But fortunately, as I laid on the snowy ground next to Scopper Gaban, Chopper and Gerd looking over our wounds, I did get the okay from the good doctor, young Chopper, and I'm back. Here I am. So, as usual, hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1152, a horrible day. Yeah, so, but it's a wonderful day for someone else right now. Kawamatsu got a hat as we continue Yamato's journey, and I'm going to be honest, I'm really interested to where Oda's going with this now, because we had the whole, the almost revival of Kaido's, weaker crew members. Well, weaker in a relative term, but Who's Who and Ulti and Page One and, all of them and the scuffle that happened, as I was pretty sure that was the main quest, and now we gave a guy a hat. This is kind of the, middle of the quest. Yamato hasn't finished the journey all the way back, so the pilgrimage is still going on, but I feel like there needs to be at least one more interesting thing that happens before we can consider this story finished. I'm hoping it's Kaido and Linlin related. But enough about that. Let's get into the actual chapter itself, where we have the new giant warrior pirates, plus Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji all getting ready to get on the lift. They're gonna head back up there. They're gonna kick Eam's butt, and I don't know. We're gonna duke it out. Unfortunately, though, we aren't gonna have Chopper, and Gerd's not gonna be any help because they're staying behind to help Gaban and Loki recover. Loki does offer to help, however, which is very interesting because, according to Haruden, who refuses to undo his chains, Loki has sold himself to the government once before. He has sided with the government on an occasion in the past. I'm wondering if he's referring to the initial death of King Harold, or if this is in regards to something on a bigger scale. It's very interesting to see, and I'm interested to see why someone like Loki would refuse to do that. However, we don't really have a lot of time to delve into that because Gaban starts telling Luffy, and I think by proxy Loki, to properly think about how you use your Color of Conqueror's haki. Your ability to weave that into your armament haki to pierce through special abilities. They are not immortal, but Luffy might be the only person who can hurt them. Until Gaban tells us there is another. And it's kind of interesting because obviously you would think, someone else in the crew would be as equally strong as Luffy, and apparently Sanji feels the same as Sanji runs over to him and goes, "Thank you. Finally somebody sees it, Mr. Ya, right? Yes, thank you very much. I was really worried that Zoro and Jinbei, were starting to usurp my popularity, but now that you have confirmed that I have Conqueror's haki, I'm very happy." And that's when obviously Gaban kind of dashes those hopes and says, "You seem to be handling your conquerors very well, swordsman." And this comes as a complete shock to Zoro. Because remember, when Zoro fought Kaido did briefly mention, "You have it too. You have conquerors as well." Zoro kind of brushed him off. Zoro wasn't really paying attention to what the enemy was saying. But now we're here with an ally saying it, one who is very attuned to the haki around him. And Zoro is as shocked as everyone else. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I have conqueror's haki?" And Gaban's like, "Yeah, I can feel it right on you." And Luffy's like, "Zoro, you're practically oozing Conqueror's haki." I actually really like that Luffy noticed that. Luffy's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. Zoro's got Conquerors like me." But never brought it up in conversation. He was just like, "Wow, that's a really nifty thing." That would be like if my brother walked into the room with a gun for a hand and didn't know it. Like, he didn't know he had a gun for a hand. But I was just like, "Oh, that's really cool. He's got a gun for a hand." And then 2 months later, someone's like, by the way, what's up with that gun on your hand? And he's just like, I have a gun, and I'm like, you've always had a gun. Why are you shocked? I don't know. It's pretty cool. This does dash Sanji's hopes and dreams, but he is not giving up. He demands that Gabon confirm that he has Conqueror's Haki, and the Sanji fans all across the internet demand that we get Sanji Conqueror confirmation. And unfortunately, Sanji's Conqueror confirmation is confined to another panel where we don't hear anything because it's drowned out by Haruden and Loki arguing. As the two of them are arguing about whether or not Loki should fight for the side of Elbaf, because Loki has spent his entire life not doing that, well, Luffy interrupts in usual fashion with a wild, outlandish decision. Loki, join my crew. Now, everybody across the internet, let's calm down for a second. This isn't the first person Luffy's offered to join the crew and didn't join the crew. So let's not get too hasty here. Zoro and Sanji even bring up excellent points that make in-lore reasons why he couldn't. He's too big for the Thousand Sunny. What are we going to do? Put him on a raft and just drag him along tugboat style? Also, Sanji, thinking like a cook, brings up Loki eats as much, if not more, than Luffy does, and the crew can barely afford to feed him. So this is not a good situation. However, Luffy's logic here is, if Loki is my subordinate and Haruden is my subordinate, then Haruden can't argue with my decision to free my subordinate and then take him up to Elbaf to fight. Haruden, however, does refuse this because Loki is imprisoned by Elbaf, not by Haruden. If it was Haruden, then yes, Luffy is in charge, therefore I would let him go, but I can't because all of Elbaf consigned Loki to death. But Mr. Ya also agrees. Scopper Gaban tells Haruden to unlock Loki's chains. I have felt energy like this before once, and it was when, King Harold died. So you guys might need him to actually help with this fight. Haruden, giving in, kind of, says fine, picks up Luffy, goes, hey guys, just take the lift, go on without me. And Luffy's like, yeah, Zoro, Sanji, you guys go as well. We're gonna stay because it's story time, as Loki finally begins to tell us the true history of what happened on a very horrible day. This day starts off interestingly enough as Loki and Jarl are summoned to King Harold's quarters in the castle. Loki having been gone for a while, and Jarl just kind of shocked that Loki's even allowed back right now. But that's okay, because, he's off to see his dad. He lives here. This is fine. It's okay. Loki, his usual reckless self, he even kicks one of the guards' faces into the door so that he can slam it open in dramatic fashion to say hello to his angry and very understanding father. Yeah, so, Harold being stabbed by several other guys. This leads to a scuffle and a fight that results in Jarl getting stabbed through the head and probably having some sort of amnesia to the events that went down. But however this went down, it does start off, canonically, as Loki witnessing his father being stabbed. So even if Loki is the one that truly did take Harold's life, it didn't start with Loki trying to do that. We also see that the devil fruit gets unlocked and there's a treasure chest and somebody's reaching for it, but we don't know who, and I'm sure we're going to get more details in the next chapter, but for now, dang. The other half of this flashback is spent with Gabon and Shanks, as they are in the shared home of Ripley and Scopper Gabon. It's a house designed for both humans and giants to live together. It's actually kind of cool, very nice. Ripley can easily hold the two of them in her hand, so it's kind of cool to see her just watching this, I guess essentially a bird feeder for her that is serving as a like a hot spring for the two of them. But the reason that Shanks came to Elbaf right now is so that he could talk to King Harold. Apparently he did bump into him at Maryjois, which I'm assuming was for a reverie that maybe the giants were a part of back then. But unfortunately, As a result, they were at the reverie and therefore couldn't talk about certain subjects. Subjects that Shanks is hoping to talk to Harold about in private here on Elbaf. Subjects that, by my guess, are probably the reason that Harold is being taken out as the two of them are talking. But let's address the elephant in the room on this single panel where we see Shanks's arm, the one that got bit off, as it has a fancy mark on the side of it. Could that be the mark of the abyss? Could that be the reason Shanks let his arm get bit off? Who knows? I mean, getting his arm bit off. We know Shanks didn't have Conqueror's Hockey at the time of getting his arm bit off. Unless he did. But I guess that's not really confirmed nor denied yet, so it's kind of something you have to think about. But if his arm can regenerate, if he did have, the Eam stuff, why does it matter? If it got bit off, it should have just grown right back. I'm very interested, and I'm hoping the next couple chapters maybe tie this information together, because this has been a big theory that's been going around, is Shanks had the mark, which is why he let his arm get bit, which is why saving Luffy was a perfect excuse to let this happen. It's very interesting to see this all come together, especially since, that's been something since chapter 1 that Shanks got his arm bit off. But then when Armament Hockey got explained, nobody could figure out why Shanks's arm got bit by a mere Sea King. So, as King Harold is currently perishing, Loki is probably obtaining his devil fruit, and Yorl's getting that stab through the head, we start to talk about In Memoriam, the beloved King Harold, how his kindness was driving Elbaf to a new peaceful age and sort of freeing them from a extreme warrior heritage to maybe a more of a peaceful, honor-bound warrior heritage. I'm hoping eventually Elbaf comes to a conclusion of peace through strength, rather than full peace and full power. But as we dig even deeper, we had a flashback that took us to that dark day, but now on that dark day we are going into a deeper flashback, which will probably bring us back up to that dark day, which will then go back to the modern day. But Harold started off as a jerk. He was a member of the Giant Warrior Pirates, so he served under Dorian Broggy, or he served alongside Dorian Broggy, it's hard to tell. But he was a jerk. He would smash buildings. He'd tell people, "I am your new god, bow before me." He had his horns. He was a monster. So we are about to witness the story of how that monster became a man. I wish I could spend more time speculating, but I need to get off my legs and rest and get myself a little healthier. I'm taking some medication right now, and I think I have reached my physical limit. But I'm sure we are going to be just in time to read the new chapter, get my thoughts on that, and I'm hopefully going to have those thoughts up to you guys on my usual Monday. So thank you for watching as always. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this week's chapter, and heck, maybe what you think of next week's chapter, because that's probably going to drop in a few hours after I finish recording this. So, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.